Now, I don't usually start out videos like this, but it's to get a bit of a feel for what's to come, or as you expect. You can't tell by the title what it's going to be about, but it's going to be about, of course, Gary's mod and the weird kind of feeling you get from it. It's quite, it's a weird feeling. It's definitely that creepy feeling it's been referred to as a lot of the times, I believe, but you'll see from this video, you'll be a little on edge, a little on nerve. I had to record this like 5 times because Shadowplay was kind of being a little bit of a bitch, and OBS had a really low bit rate, and I just really don't want to fuck around with it for a little bit. But other than that, just enjoy the footage. Now I know this has been done to death, but I kind of just had to feel like I needed to put my own input on this. Now it's kind of a little oversaturated. I know it's too many Gmod ARGs and stuff like that, and just people saying the same thing. But my own experience is it's a little different from what people would say normally, how it's filled with life, because I really didn't have any experience with Gmod. I watched all the videos and all that when I was younger, but I didn't really get into Gmod until I got a PC, which was like, I believe, late 2019 or late 2020. I forgot what it was, but I really didn't have any memories of Gmod other than just like, the standard Vanoss gaming videos, and so I really didn't experience what other people were saying about dark RP maps and all that, and how they're supposed to be filled with life. But nonetheless, I still get the creepy feeling. It's a bit of a off-putting nostalgia type of feeling, but at the same time, it's like the feeling of being watched. Like normally you would be with people, and yeah, of course it would be filled with people, but it's just off-putting whenever you don't have anything of people being there, but your brain kind of fills it in, saying, "Hey, there should be people here," especially the ambient sounds, which are really off-putting in empty maps. I'm not sure if dead silence is more disturbing than just the ambient sounds of cop cars, ambulances, and footsteps. Now, I'm no horror expert, but it's just the unnerving feeling of the canopsia, the fear of being watched. Sometimes it kind of takes over, especially on Source games. It's really prevalent in a game like Gmod or Portal 2, where it's kind of just empty, desolate corridors and big open empty spaces in Gmod, and you feel like you should be being watched, but you're not, and so you're always on edge, always looking around your shoulder whenever it gets a little too quiet or something. It's a really creepy feeling. I know it's been done to death, but on my thoughts on the subject, I feel it's a little more than that, and it might just be a lot to do with the engine. Specifically, Source engine games kind of produce this feeling because you can go in like a Call of Duty map, like say Modern Warfare 2, you just go on Rust. I guess you'd feel some of it, but it's just not the same as it would be on like a Source map. Like if you had like Rust on Gmod, you would definitely get that empty feeling, and it's off-putting. I know I've said that several times, but it's kind of just like the one word you can put it into, and it's a pretty bizarre feeling. But whenever you're doing something, in Sandbox, you're not really doing anything. Or well, you're not really paying attention to the feeling. You're kind of just messing around. But once you get bored, you start to like think, look around, start hearing things, and you start that feeling, and then you disconnect usually, or maybe you'll creep around and you think you might see something. And I think that's mostly your brain messing with you. And there's a lot of creepy shit like haunted Gmod maps, some dumb shit, probably like some 12-year-old made up, but it's an interesting idea to turn your thoughts into something creative like that. And I really do appreciate the people that do the ARGs. I think they're cool, but sometimes they get pretty repetitive. Just the same cheap jump scares and all that. But I really do enjoy content like that. It really puts that feeling and creates something out of it more than just, hey, I just got this feeling, I'm gonna talk about this. And I would like to make something similar to that, but I'm really not on the time schedule for that or something, and I just don't play Gmod as much as I used to. I got a lot of hours and just blowing shit up, and it's really fun doing that. But the feeling kind of creeps in, especially the loneliness. It's kind of feel isolated, and it's pretty bad in some maps, especially big open maps. I feel like there should be people there, maybe NPCs, but even NPCs give me this weird, awkward feeling that I just don't like. They could be just a normal NPC, like a combine soldier or something, and then they'll just it'll be like unnerving to me. I can't, especially in just empty places. I should be hearing more noises. There should be people around. There should be dialogue, but there's just nothing. Just dead silence. And that's kind of real horror to me. I feel like the dread of being alone or not knowing if you're alone is really what makes these maps scary. It's pretty creepy, but I've never been like legitimately scared where I'll have to close the game or something. Sometimes I just get that feeling. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna get off, but it's never gotten so bad that I feel like there's gonna be like a jump scare over the corner. Because you never really know with some of these maps, especially horror maps. And now, one thing to make it worse is I'd say Gmod VR, because you feel like you're in there. And so whenever you're going into a map, it's definitely a lot more prevalent. You start to feel, unless you're busy with something, it's gonna start setting in real quick. And liminal space maps, I don't know why you torture yourself doing that in VR, but that definitely sounds like something that would just freak me out and I'd just get paranoid. It's definitely pretty bad, I'd say, in VR, but I've never played enough in VR to really get into the feeling. But I definitely would like to get more into it. I'd also like to do some more VR chat stuff as well. I've heard there's some pretty crazy stuff in there and some cool stuff with the community and some pretty creepy maps. I'd like to try them out because there are definitely some very interesting points to do in those very abandoned worlds, and it just kind of like bothers me a bit how there's these worlds that people made and they just kind of just leave them there, like nobody goes there and it's empty. It should be filled with people, but it's not. It's something that messes with your brain. Yeah, I try my best to like put my feelings into words, but it's like it's kind of hard to do. But you gotta do what you can. It's definitely something that's for interpretation across people. Maybe people don't even feel it at all, and maybe I'm just crazy. I haven't gotten that very many times before, but might be a possibility. Quite literally is though. But anyways, Gmod has a pretty creepy feeling, and I'm not a I'm a big fan of how it creates it. Just like because source maps look eerily realistic, so but then they also look uncanny at the same time. They look a little plasticky, but the textures just sometimes look too real. Because sometimes you could put a real life photo next to like a source map photo of something like GM Construct and like take a brick wall from real life and a brick wall from GM Construct. Put a photo side by side in the right position. You might have some trouble differentiating between them because I guess the amount of realism really does attribute to the factor because I feel like it's still a really good looking engine. It can be pretty convincing and it just messes with you. You start to get immersed and you start losing touch with reality. And when you really feel in the game, it's a lot more impactful whenever you start feeling your surroundings and the lack of life anywhere. But yeah, those are my thoughts. I didn't expect to talk for this long, but yeah, Gmod's pretty creepy.